Yes, indeed. It is time to rip and riff here on the Rip and Riff YouTube channel. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. The man to my right is at Mr. Jared Moore. He really needs no introduction, though. Everybody that knows him and loves him here. Jared, welcome in. We are officially in the NFL season. This is exciting.
You're right. I am a man that needs no introduction. You just say my name and I appear. I'm like you would know this reference, but there's a wrestler called Joe Hendry where his whole gimmick is like say his name and he appears, and it's really funny.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. But yeah.
Anyways, that's all I have there. How are you this morning?
We're doing good. We're doing good here. We're coming to you, another pre-recorded edition. We'll be back with you live, but we love that Wednesday slot there, airing it and all that. But yeah, we got a lot of sports to get to today. We're gonna do some baseball packs. We'll do a hockey pack. Figure 5 is going to be hockey today, but of course, like we said before, it's football season. We had spent the last few episodes like going through division odds and stuff like that. That time's going to be dedicated to, just talking overall thoughts from each week before we get to ripping packs, and including in a segment called Rip and Rant. But before we get there, we should let you know what packs we are opening today. So let's, Jared's showing what he's got there. He's got a pack of 2012 score, and you can see some of the rookies there on the screen that we're looking for, Jared.
Yeah, I forgot to pre-rip it, so there we are. But yeah, a lot of good rookies. That was the historic. The historic might be a bit of a stretch now. Now that we look back on it, but there were a lot of good quarterbacks in that class. Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson. That was Kirk Cousins' rookie year. RG3 is obviously on the cover of this pack. Ryan Tannehill was a rookie that year. So there were a lot of quarterbacks that year who wound up having long careers, and also RG3. So, we certainly can't knock those. Luke Kuechly, future Hall of Famer as well. So the sound you hear right now is me pre-ripping the packs because I forgot to do it.
Pre-ripping the packs, which is important to do here if you don't want to look like a jackass like I do sometimes, because I don't pre-rip. For my packs, I'm bringing some baseball to the table. I ordered some Topps 2024 Heritage when I got those tennis cards I showed on last week's show. You can see the rookies there. Mason Wynn, Jordan Westburg, Kyle Harrison, Colton Cowser, Andrew Abbott, Reese Olson, some guys on the rise there. And then, just a little old school hockey. You can see there the 1994 Donruss or 93-94 Donruss, Jason Arnott rookies, Chris Osgood, Jocelyn Tebow, and of course a Gretzky rookie, but it's Brett Gretzky and not, Wayne. But hey, it's a Gretzky rookie.
There you go. Not every day you say, I hope to pull a Gretzky rookie. So there we go.
Yeah, and not have to spend, $1 million on a box of it or a case of it or whatever that one went for recently. But before we get into the pack ripping here, we do have to get some things off our chest. So let's get that underway. It's time to kick things off on Rip and Riff with
my Rip and Rant.
Thanks, Dave. All right, so since Jared's is football, and we're going to do some football packs after that, I will kick off today. Mine will be 2 quick ones that I'm jamming into my allotted time here. The first one I'm going to talk about, unfortunately, there was the memorial this week, earlier this week, for Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. And as you can imagine, family, hockey teammates, all that, packed house. And there's obviously certain decorums you have and times and places for things. And as like a group of players that was walking out, which included Cole Caulfield, who recently announced that he's going to switch to number 13 from 22 to honor his buddy and mentor. Somebody there, I don't know what the reporter's name was trying to get a quote. Now, he wasn't being obnoxious about it, but he was like going, Cole, like trying to get his attention in a subdued way, but trying to like, and it's like, dude, like, I understand you want to be first, you want to get that quote, but like, the guy just finished spending the last 60 plus minutes here eulogizing one of his best buds. Like, can you wait? Like, like somebody pointed out online, the Montreal Canadiens are going to have a press conference at some point coming up soon. The preseason's right around the corner. Cole Caulfield is one of the faces of the team. He's going to get his time at the podium or at the locker, and you can ask him then. But like, really, like the guy literally just walked out and you're trying to get a quote. You're a piece of shit is what you are. Like, no, seriously, because you can say,
I agree. I agree.
I've never been to a funeral before. Like you say, I don't know anybody. It's like, dude, like I've never been to Siberia before. I know to pack a parka when I go there. You know what I mean? Like, Like there are certain things in like that's just that's not knowing better. That's just you're a moron and there's no hope. So I hope that this makes its way to you because you're an idiot. Because I'm sure there were plenty of other reporters there and you did not hear any of them pipe up trying to get anybody's attention.
There really should be zero reporters there, given, you know, it's a funeral. And like, I get that like the entire hockey world is in attendance essentially to remember Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. But yeah, it's read the room, man. There's a time and place for this, and this ain't that. So I mean, that's all I really have to add to that.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, like this is not like, oh, like I didn't know. Like, come on, man. Like, really. And the second part of this that'll transition it back to football a little bit, because I saw right before we started recording today that Deion Sanders wants the marching band, the Colorado marching band, to wait playing the touchdown song when the Buffalo score, so that only when Shador scores, so that way Shador's, you know, preferred, you know, song can play over the PA. And it's like, you know, man, like I get it. You know, like you're trying to like do things differently. You know, you're trying to promote your kid who's going to be, you know, very highly touted in the upcoming draft class. But come on, like at a certain point, it starts to look like a clown show, and it's starting to look like a clown show.
I'm a Giants fan, and I have no interest in Shador Sanders solely because of Deion. And I say this as a fan of a team that's going to draft a quarterback this upcoming season, because we'll get into that with my Rip and Rant in a minute. But I just want no part of everything that comes with Deion and anything in that orbit. I really want nothing to do with, except aside from Travis Hunter. Like I would take Travis Hunter on the Giants in a heartbeat, but everything else I would just put it aside.
It reminds me of Lonzo Ball in a way, you know, and it was annoying, but like that's a dad promoting his 3 kids, and like he's not a coach. He's, you know, he not to say he doesn't know any better, but like Deion, you were an all-pro college football player, hell of a baseball player. Like you've been a pro athlete. Like you've been on the, like, it's just like, I get it. Like I want to do everything I can for my kid too, but like, you know, there's certain things where it's like you're starting to become a spectacle is what's happening. You're becoming bigger than
almost like a caricature of himself.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, just chill. Just can you worry about Colorado winning on the field?
Which, by the way, they're not going to do a whole lot of because they're Colorado and they're not that good. And you would think Colorado would get more players in the transfer portal than they have because of Deion. And you would think that with Deion being who he is, like they'd be winning 9-10 games every year and being in, you know, a high prestige, high profile bowl game, and you know, one of the faces of college football. And no, they're about as mid a program as it gets. And I don't know. That's all I really have on Deion.
Speaking of poor play on the field, I give the floor to you.
Yeah, my Rip Rant's going to be on the Giants after watching that Week 1 performance, which it was about everything I expected it to be, which is certainly a problem with the Giants. I have a lot of thoughts off of that game. But it ultimately comes down to Daniel Jones, and this being a confirmation of everything I thought about Daniel Jones. Like the guy just isn't an NFL starting caliber quarterback. Like he's, you know, a bottom 5 NFL starting quarterback. He won't, I'm not sure which one it is, but he won't push the ball downfield, which is just really rough. Brian Dable did him no favors with the play calling. I don't know why you're calling design quarterback runs for a guy who's playing his first NFL game coming off a torn ACL 10 months ago. Like that just, it makes no sense. There was just no creativity with the offense. And even though like Malik Neighbors had 5 catches, you know, that the Giants offense should be schemed around getting the ball into Malik Neighbors' hands as much as possible, because he's really one of the few playmakers they actually have. And that's the only way they're going to score points is, you know, explosive plays. And they just don't have any guys to do that, especially since they let Saquon Barkley go, which is a whole other thing after watching him score 3 touchdowns for the Eagles. Like, I get why they let Saquon go, but if you're John Mara and you watch Saquon score 3 touchdowns with the Eagles, and then you look at the Giants and you look at Devin Singletary get 3 yards of carry and fall down, like what are we doing here? So
not even 3 touchdowns for Saquon. 3 touchdowns on what everybody said was a crappy field, and he still had a good day. And running backs don't like to run on crappy fields, and he still found a way. So,
right. I mean, well, he's used to running on a crappy field in MetLife Stadium. So there you go.
There you go.
Then you have the defense is kind of whatever. Like, it's weird. They have a really good defensive line with, in theory, with Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns. And 2 of those players were invisible on Sunday. Like, Thibodeau did nothing. Brian Burns didn't do anything. Lawrence made an impact. And every time he got out of the game, the Vikings made a point to, run hurry up so he couldn't get back on the field so they could actually run the ball and run their offense. So the Giants are just a disaster. I don't see any way this team wins more than 5 games. And it's really going to come down to when they decide to pull the plug on Daniel Jones and protect themselves from the injury guarantee.
So here's the thing: when like you say, like, oh, they're not going to win 5 games. This game against the Vikings, this was, if you looked at the Giants' schedule, you got Sam Darnold coming in as the quarterback. Like, this was a game that, like, all right, if the Giants are going to be competitive or win any of them,
that's when they had to have.
That was what they had to have, and like, it's at home. Like, it could, like, for Daniel Jones, it literally could not have gone any worse. Now, like, I'm not one of these people that, like, oh, if you believe it and blah blah blah, if you vision it, it can make it happen. But it's like, dude, like, this was like, you don't, like, you had to stop. You could not have had a worse outing. Like, it's just, it's bad. And also, just on Kayvon Thibodeau for a second, like, if you can't handle fair questions related to your job, then don't play in New York. I'm sorry, or don't play anywhere. Like, it's not like that a reporter was asking a question trying to bait you into an answer about Daniel Jones's poor play or something like that. He asked about the pass rush. Last time I checked, the Giants spent a high draft pick on you because you're good at rushing the passer. This ain't Eugene, Oregon anymore. If you can't handle questions, and don't play in New York.
Right. And not only the high draft pick on him, they spent another draft pick to bring in Brian Burns and gave him a boatload of money as well. So they made all this effort to improve the pass rush. The one thing I will say about the Giants, I know the excuse in the past with Daniel Jones is, well, the offensive line stinks. I didn't think the offensive line was that bad on Sunday. I went back and rewatched the game. There were certainly plays there where, he's holding on to the ball a little too long, and, you hold on to the ball long enough, the pocket's just going to break down. I didn't think the protection was the problem on Sunday. So, like, it really just further supports my theory that you get a different quarterback in there. Like, the most explosive the Giants offense looked last year was when Tyrod Taylor got into games late in the year. And I suspect that if it gets to a point this year where they wind up getting Drew Lock in the games, they'll probably be something similar.
Yeah, I think, like, at some, you have to give Daniel Jones a little bit more of a leash before you pull the plug on him, and like you said, but also make sure before he gets hurt. But yeah, I think once Drew Lock comes in, he becomes like, the Giants' offense will at least look competent at that point, I think. And I understand on the defense, when the offense is just doing nothing but 3 and outs and giving you short fields and turning the ball over, that makes it tough on you. I get that. But you also kind of knew the situation going in. This is not blindsiding you out of left field. The Daniel Jones stinking has been, we've known this for a while. Now, you mentioned Tyrod Taylor. I know you had some thoughts on the Jets as well off of the Monday night game.
Well, I want to get your thoughts first, since you're the resident Jet fan. I have my own thoughts, and more of me like needling and me sort of poking holes at the whole, well, the Jets are Super Bowl contenders idea, which is something I've never bought into, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
I don't think they were Super Bowl contenders, and trying to be realistic. All I want is for the playoff drought to come to an end and maybe one playoff victory, a wild card round, something. Just give me something. That's really all I want this season. Now, going back to last night, they had that one drive where it was like, oh my God, if this is what the offense is capable of, like, they're going to be a really tough team to stop. The defense is going to look good. We're still waiting. Hassan Reddick, by the way, was like Mr. Burns last night. Excellent. Watching the Jets pass rush be pretty ineffective.
I'm sure he was thrilled.
Yes. So that's going to be interesting. This because Joe Douglas didn't cave to Jamal Adams. So, like, I don't know like how he plays this, especially off of last night. But off of that drive, you're thinking like, all right, great, but we need to see more of this. And then that was it for the night. And you just didn't see anything else. I mean, and again, it's opening on the road in San Francisco against what we know is one of the best teams in the league, strong defense, offense. I know Ayuk was a little rusty off of the holdout. So, like, he wasn't at full. You didn't have Christian McCaffrey. mean, Jordan Mason certainly filled a void nicely for the McCaffrey last night. I mean, I'm not ready to panic yet, but I'm not gonna, but if they go into Tennessee and do this again next week, that's a problem. If like it's one thing to have a tough night against the 49ers, and I recognize it's you got a long flight back on a short week, and then you got to get back on a plane and go to Nashville. So it's not ideal, but like the show, I don't want to say Tennessee's a must-win game, but like it kind of feels like that a little bit early.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it with your analysis there. I have a few thoughts. I'd never have doubted Aaron Rodgers' ability to still spin the ball, and like he can certainly still throw the football with the best of them. And I mean, he's the Michael Jordan of whenever there's that free play when somebody jumps off sides, he's throwing deep, and he obviously connected there with Lazard on the touchdown pass, which was about as close to vintage Rodgers as you're going to get there. I am a little bit concerned with the lack of mobility from Rodgers coming off the torn Achilles. And we are talking about a player who's 40 years old, and, he needs to be able to move around the pocket at least a little bit. So that's something I would probably look out for in future weeks. I'm not buying this Jets defense, and I'm glad you mentioned Hassan Reddick. Championship caliber defenses don't give up scoring plays on 8 consecutive possessions. And that's something that the Jets did last night, which it's just something you can't happen. I know a lot of them were field goals. They kept them out of the end zone for the most part. But, I mean, you're not going to win football games against good teams when you're just giving up that many points. And they only gave up whatever it was, 29 or 30.
32.
32. It was 32 was the final, 32-19. But it certainly could have been a lot worse in that respect.
And one of those touchdowns was Tyrod Taylor, garbage time.
Correct, yes. And that was another interesting thing, too. They got Rodgers out of there late, but they kept the rest of the starters in, which I'm not sure I would love if I were a Jet fan. If you're going to bench Rodgers to protect him, then you got to get the rest of the studs out of there. Like Garrett Wilson's got to get out of there. Breece Hall's got to be out of there. The offensive linemen that are worth a damn got to be out of there. So.
And Mike Williams didn't play a ton last night. So, like, I understand they're easing him back in, but, like, how much are we easing him back in? Like, is it just, like, one more week and he's ready to go? Or is this going to be, like, his snap count is going to slowly increase? They need him on the field, too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big body who can stretch the field, so you certainly want him out there. I mean, the problem with Mike Williams is he's never healthy, which is, something with him dating back to all those years with the Chargers. Like he'll go and he'll have that one random game where he catches like 2 long touchdown passes and he's a force offensively, but
then he disappears for 4 games. Yeah,
exactly, because he's hurt. So I don't know. Hopefully he gets healthy. I think the Jets will bounce back this week, though. I mean, they got the Titans. I've been watching. I'm going to watch a lot of the Titans this year, and let's just say I'm not very impressed with Will Levis. So.
This is a perfect like bounce back tee off spot for the Jets, like a nice 38-13 kind of like, all right, we're here, like. Oh,
I'm not even saying that much of a blowout. Like, just win the game. I don't care how much you win the game.
It is a road game, short week, fine.
Yeah, you're on the road. 20-13. I don't care how you fucking do it. Just go and win the game.
Go and win the game. And I guess for us, it's time to go and rip the pack. We're talking football. You got some 2012 score. You want to get ripping?
Oh yeah, let's get right to it. If you don't mind bringing up the East Coast camera for me.
The old East Coast rip cam.
But we are going to get right into this. We got our first pack here. You got that nice ripping sound there with me doing it. And we are going to remember some guys. And there's certainly a lot of guys we're going to remember in this pack, like Patriots running back Stephen Ridley, pretty good fantasy player in his day.
Pack when the Patriots kind of had a rotating door in the backfield, but it worked for them.
Yep. Austin Collie, one of the many Colts receivers that Peyton Manning / Andrew Luck utilized when they were there.
Good, like wide receiver 3, you need a third down catch kind of thing. He was that guy.
Wesley Woodyard, pretty solid linebacker for the Denver Broncos.
Pretty basic look on these scorecards, but I like it. It works here because this is back when like pictures start, like HD photos really started to become like into play. So like you let the picture stand out there.
Yep. Sheldon Brown, Brown's cornerback.
It's a sharp. When the Browns go all white head to toe, that's a good look.
Yeah, I do like that look. Josh Freeman, Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback, showed a little promise earlier with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then was the author of maybe the worst performance on a Monday Night Football game I've ever seen when he played that one game against the Giants. I think it was with the Vikings.
Now let's go. We got the Bucs and the Browns in the last two. So let's talk about how the Browns decided to give up on Baker Mayfield, and he's now doing just fine in Tampa Bay. And the only contract that's probably worse than Daniel Jones is Deshaun Watson's in Cleveland right now, and they look awful against the Cowboys Sunday.
Deshaun Watson looks like he doesn't care.
He's got his money.
I'm not saying he doesn't care, but he looks like he doesn't care.
And that's the problem with a fully guaranteed contract for a guy that really was coming off of the situation he was coming off of too.
Right. And there's 2 more years left on that deal. There's just no way out of it for the Browns. They made their own mess there with that one. And we finished this up with a couple of rookies. One notable, one not so much. We'll start with the not so much here. Marvin McNutt, receiver with the Eagles. And a pretty good player in his day. Janoris Jenkins, cornerback with the, I guess back then it was the St. Louis Rams, not the LA Rams yet.
Yeah, they hadn't quite moved yet, I don't think. Let's see. Janoris Jenkins, what's he? Well, let's take a look at his Pro Football Reference there. The St. Louis Rams, the Giants, the Saints, the Titans, and then the Niners. Retired after 2022. So good career there. He had a 8, 10, 12-year career.
Yeah, good career. He signed that big free agent deal with the Giants. So pretty good player. All right. So hopefully this other pack's better. We didn't really get a lot in that first pack. Jason Babin, DN with the Eagles. All right, here we go. Now we got some fantasy guys we can remember. Stevie Johnson, Bills receiver, really good player in his day.
Stevie, I got to pull him. I remember him, but because he had like a 2-year window where he was like a key player, and then 3-year window. He had 3 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons, 2010 through 2012. And had 10 touchdowns that first season. So he was an option there.
Yep. Santonio Holmes, Super Bowl 43 hero here with the Jets.
That is the only Super Bowl since I was a kid that I have not watched. That I did not watch live because I was at a Metallica concert. That was the the James Hetfield guitar pick story in my eye. That was the concert.
And that was the same night as the Pittsburgh Arizona Super Bowl.
Yes. I was in the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, on the floor for Metallica while that game was going on, and it sucked to miss that because that was actually one of the better Super Bowls of the last.
Yeah, it wound up being a good game.
Yeah.
Jared Cook, tight end, Tennessee Titans.
He was in a good fantasy tight end, like a good reliable. Like, okay, I missed out on a few top guys. Let me grab him, and you could play him every week. Bad week for the tight ends in fantasy wise, week 1, unless your name was Isaiah Likely.
Let's see. We have Christian Ponder here with the Vikings. Pro career didn't work out, but he certainly has his family is certainly notable. Obviously, his wife, Samantha Ponder, is a longtime ESPN personality before she was let go earlier this year.
He was a good quarterback at Florida State.
He was a good quarterback at Florida State. That's all I have on that one. Isaiah Peed, rookie card. I wanted to make another Florida State joke. I was like, you know what? I buried him enough last week.
They're having a rough enough time.
Yeah. Just let it lay low. And last but not least, this card has a little bit of a glossy finish, but I like that. Future Hall of Famer, Haloti Ngata. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. He's one of the better D tackles of his day.
It seems like every episode we play an edition of Is This Guy a Hall of Famer? And I enjoy it. So let's put, the resume is there. So he played 13 years in the league. He was a 2-time All-Pro, 5 Pro Bowls. Let's see here. For a D tackle, 32 and a half career sacks, pretty good for his guy. As far as like gap eating defensive tackles that just wreaked havoc, I would put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it feels like we have a pretty low threshold. Yeah, we'll put him in the Hall of Fame. Why not?
We have like a basketball threshold on this show.
Yes. Haloti Ngata is the Mitch Richmond of this guy's definitely a Hall of Famer.
Not besmirch Mitch Richmond on this show. I have a soft spot for Mitch Richmond.
Right, but you know what I mean. Like
I know.
the fact
I
that
know.
like Mitch Richmond's in the Hall of Fame, it's like, all right. I mean, this probably all right. That's a bit much.
Mitch Richmond actually, and Michael Jordan doesn't hand out a ton of praise, but there was a quote of him saying like Mitch Richmond doesn't get the love he deserves or something like that. Like Jordan saying like he was a good, really good player. I mean, that's almost better than the Hall of Fame as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but you can't really sign that on like autograph like basketballs and memorabilia. You know, you can write like Hall of Fame 12 on an autograph, but you can't really say Michael
MJ
Jordan's
props.
favorite player. Exactly. Can't really
MJ gave me
monetize that.
props.
Right.
All right, so that'll wrap up the football portion of the show. Listen, we've neglected baseball recently. We're in the heat of the pennant race here. A couple of divisions really. The National League divisions are pretty much locked in, but the National League wild card picture looks like it's going to have some fun here in the last couple of weeks. AL East still up for grabs between the Yankees and Orioles, and it looks like there's a little bit at the bottom of the wild card picture there. So it'll be fun to watch some baseball down the stretch here. Going to do a little pack of these 2024 Topps Heritage Baseball. I read that this is based off the 1975 Topps look. So neither of us were alive in 1975, so we have nothing to offer there.
No.
Okay, so we start off with a Michael Harris II. This is a printed on autograph there, but that's a cool looking 1970. That screams 1975 right there. Get out the beanbag chair and the lava lamp while we rip this pack. All right, next up, we got TJ Friedl, a little decent outfielder with the Reds there, also printed on autograph. Next up here, we've got a World Series 2023 Game 3 highlight card. The Rangers beating the Diamondbacks 3-1. Now, I got to give the Diamondbacks credit. I didn't realize that they would be back in the mix again this year. I thought they were a fluke team, but here they are again, right in the thick of the NL playoff hunt.
Yeah, Torey Lavelle's done a really good job with that group, and they have solid pitching. They do just enough offensively. I don't know that I expect the Diamondbacks to necessarily make another World Series run, but look, all you got to do is get in baseball. You get in, and anything can happen, and it certainly happened for them last year to get all the way to the World Series. So why can't it happen again?
Yeah, why not, right? Like, if they could beat the Phillies last year, they can beat them again this year. A team that'll be in their way, of course, is the Dodgers, and there's Mr. Clayton Kershaw.
I like that because that's a vintage look, and also I'm pretty sure Clayton Kershaw pitched in 1975.
He's been around long enough. And that's also just a great Kershaw shot of mid wind up and throw there. Now here's a guy that has caught both of our ires on a recent episode of RipNRiff, Mr. Gleyber Torres.
I gotta say though, Gleyber's been better though. He's been better of late. They moved into the leadoff spot. He's actually hitting a little bit, which is nice to see. Which means now that he's hitting now, he's not going to hit in October when they actually need it. But I feel like the Yankees are in a decent spot right now with Gleyber. They finally recalled Jason Dominguez. I don't know what they were doing, waiting as long there as they did. Honestly, the biggest pleasant surprise with the Yankees right now is Austin Wells in that cleanup spot. Like, he's just been sensational. He had a huge 3-run homer last night, and in their win against the Kansas City Royals. And if you look at all the stats in terms of Yankee cleanup hitters, they haven't really had anyone all year that could protect Aaron Judge, except for Austin Wells. And anytime Austin Wells has been in that spot, he's just mashed.
Ask and you shall receive, my friend. There's Austin Wells.
Oh, how about that? Very nice rookie card pull, and very sus timing on that as well.
It was a few cards away, but once you started talking Austin Wells, I'm like, all right, he's got to come out here. Team that the Yankees are chasing for the AL East here, DL Hall with pictured there with the Orioles. That's going to be an interesting one to watch. There's not any other division races that are really giving much, but that one will be one that probably comes down to the wire.
I would say I don't have a lot of confidence in the Yankees in the playoffs, so I would like to see them win the division just because one less round is just one less opportunity to be upset earlier in the tournament. But Yeah, I think Baltimore's gonna be one of those teams the Yankees are gonna have to contend with that are gonna be in their way to win a championship. Them and Houston are the two teams that probably concern me the most in the AL.
Yeah,
And
for
Cleveland
sure.
probably should as well with their pitching, the back end of their bullpen, and everything that Cleveland's done this year.
Team that won't be able to defend their crown is the Texas Rangers. Another rookie card here. We got Josh Jung.
Yeah, it's taken a bit of a step back this year, but Josh Chung still has a lot of promise as a player. He'll be fine. The Rangers will be sick. Probably moving forward. Yeah, they have they just recalled Kumar Rocker to make the start the other day. He's one of their top prospects. Jack Leiter's in the big leagues now as well, so he's obviously got a huge pedigree. Jacob deGrom's almost back from Tommy John, which means he'll actually be back next year when the games start mattering for the Rangers again. They got a lot of pieces. They'll spend money. So I think the Rangers are a prime bounce back candidate.
They're definitely in hibernation mode for this season, but yeah, there's no reason they can't compete because the AL West this year wasn't that strong. Seattle refuses to take a step up. Houston is back at the top. Of course they are. Now, the last card of this pack, this is one that my daughter would be excited to pull. It's a Chicago Cub with a picture of a Cub.
I don't know why that card makes me laugh so much. It's just
a
cute little bear.
I'll put that one off to the side for you, okay? I'll send that one to you.
I mean, I wonder if they have other animal mascot cards in it. Like, do we get like a cute little Detroit Tiger if you pull a Tigers card?
So I don't get I don't have a mascot in pack 2. So this is the only mascot we're getting today.
Oh,
I know. It would have been nice. I mean, if it was a Texas Ranger, what would you get? Like an old school Texas state police officer, I guess.
You would get a picture of Chuck Norris from Walker, Texas Ranger.
There you go.
And it would be incredible. I would pay $69 for that card.
And I think Chuck would be into the idea too. Like, I don't think it would cost much to get him for like a licensing fee or whatever. Like, I think he'd be down to just do it for like, minimum whatever is he gets at this point.
I don't know. I mean, Chuck's getting up there. like Chuck's, I think, in his 80s now.
But he's still Chuck Norris. I mean, even when he dies, it's not that he died. It's just the rest of the world around him, went away. You know what I mean? Like, he's Chuck Norris.
I can't do Chuck Norris facts. 20 years after the fact that it's popular.
No, we can't do that. No, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But we got a lot of rookie cards here. How about Mason Wynn having a hot streak with the Cardinals recently?
Yeah, he's had a really good year with the Cardinals. So, nice pull there.
We go from one strong shortstop to another. Trey Turner.
Trey Turner, yeah, one of the best shortstops in the NL. The Phillies, one of the best teams in the NL. I still think the Phillies will probably be the team that comes out of the NL. I'm not taking the Dodgers. I'll take the Phillies just because, it's interesting. The Phillies, they feel like a beer league softball team with the way their roster is built. But it's just, it works. Like it just works in that ballpark. And that time of year, a lot of those guys just have the clutch gene that time of year. Like Harper and like Castellanos gets a ton of big hits, and Schwarber is played in a billion playoff games. Turner's played in a lot of big games. So, yeah, I mean, and it's one of the best environments in sports. Like you get a good Philly crowd behind you. It's a good environment. So, and I know it's funny. It's the same fans as it's the same fan base like Eagle fans, but I feel like it's much more toned down with the Phillies. So,
and the Phillies just like they're one of those teams that like come postseason, they just know how to like flick that switch when they need to. You know what I mean? Like they just have that in them. Like I don't get that vibe from a lot of the other teams. The way, at least the Dodgers don't always deliver. The Padres, we'll see. Definitely not from the Brewers or the Mets. So when the Braves are banged up too. Let's see what we got here. We got another rookie here at the Mariners, Prelander Baroa. Let's see. We got a couple of rookies in this pack here. How about Masataka Yoshida, Red Sox rookie?
I actually don't believe that's a rookie. I think it's his
That's
second
all
year.
stars. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's an all-star card. I read that wrong.
Yeah,
Let's
but
see.
Yoshida's a solid player, though.
Yeah. Let's see here. We've got 1981 most valuable players here. For whatever reason, this insert Rolly Fingers and Mike Schmidt. There we go.
Nice, and I guess that's what the cards looked like back then when they were winning that most valuable player.
Let's see. We got Colin Selby of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Love those Pirates jerseys there. Those are pretty sharp. We closed the pack strong here. Going back to the Yankees for a second, Mr. Jazz Chisholm Jr. Thank God that injury was not worse. That UCL injury or whatever it was, because that looked like it might have been a real playoff problem.
Yeah, that would have been a major concern. Hopefully he'll be fine moving forward. Bats cool off a little bit, but he's very much an energy guy. Like, he's a guy, he gets on the base pass, he'll run, he'll make things happen. Adds a bit of athleticism to a team that sorely needs it. Adds a bit of energy and life to a clubhouse that sorely needs it. Because the Yankees have a very stale corporate sort of image with the way they carry themselves, and Chaz Chisholm is very much not that. So I've enjoyed the Chaz Chisholm experience thus far.
It's one of the few things the Yankees front office has gotten right over the past few seasons. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, hey, broken clock's right twice a day. We go across to Queens and talk a little new age performers. Francisco Lindor, who the Mets, they're keeping themselves alive, probably just enough to break their fans' hearts. Shout out Subway to Shea podcast and that Ant Rivera 86. But yeah, the Mets are hanging around.
Look, I know Ohtani's going to win the MVP. If I had a vote, it would go to Francisco Lindor. Like, to me, he's been the most valuable player in the National League this year. He has absolutely carried that Mets team on his back. He's been outstanding defensively. He's been a presence in their lineup. Just really consistent, basically for the last 4 months or so. He's been phenomenal, and he's a big part of the reason why the Mets are where they are right now, and they're on the precipice of the playoffs. And I mean, like, it stinks for him. He's not going to win it. That he's not going to win the MVP, but like, he certainly is having an MVP caliber season, and I'm glad that he was in this pack so we can give him his flowers.
And that goes back to the old MVP debate, being valuable to your team. Obviously, Ohtani's valuable to the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are still a very good team without Shohei Ohtani. The Mets are not doing what they're doing without Lindor in that lineup. So it goes back to that argument, too. So got one last card. Speaking of Ohtani's team, we got Clayton Kershaw again, a cool little hologramic parallel there, but that's a nice looking card there.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, see, it kind of see the way it reflects there a little bit. But yeah, it's a good, those are two good packs. And I've got more of those packs. I got a blaster box. So we'll revisit the 2024 Topps Heritage packs in future episodes here on Rip and Riff. So enjoyed that one. Talked a little baseball here, talk a little football. Let's get these guys out of the way and let's talk a little hockey next. What do you say? We got the hockey season's right around the corner. How's everything going for allaboutthejersey.com?
Everything's going well. I have a big piece coming up. Well, actually, since this is airing Wednesday, I went up earlier today, just talking about where the Devils are in the betting market, in terms of, futures bets and Hart Trophy and all the various awards. And my general premise in the article is, what are the sports books telling us about what they think the Devils will be this year? And in summary, yeah, they think they're going to be good. So now, granted, the sports books could be wrong because they thought a lot of the same things about the Devils last year and they weren't good. But that's the general premise of this article that is up today.
You know what, though, and we don't have to go too deep on it here, but the bottom line is they had weak goaltending. They went out and addressed and improved that in a big way. They needed depth on the blue line. They certainly added that with two big signings there. There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic in Jersey this year. They've addressed the needs. Last year, we know Meyer played hurt. We know Hughes missed stretches. If they can get 75 games out of Jack Hughes, look out.
Yeah, and I watched the clip that you guys were that you posted from Total Hockey Now on the Metropolitan Division betting odds. The one I wanted to jump in a little bit on that conversation.
Sure.
Because the Rangers and the Devils were basically the co-favorites. The one thing I would say is I feel like there's a lot less variance with the Rangers in terms of range of outcomes. Like to me, there's no scenario where the Rangers aren't a playoff team this year.
I would agree with that, unless something catastrophically goes wrong.
Exactly. I don't even want to talk about hypothetical catastrophic things because I don't want to put that into the universe. But there's a very narrow, they're going to be in the playoffs. They're very good chance they're going to win the division. They might even win the President's Trophy again. Although last year was one of the great regular seasons they've had. It was actually the greatest regular season they've ever had in terms of points. So maybe that's not sustainable, but the fact that they're a solid playoff team is sustainable. With the Devils, I feel like there's a little more variance where if this goes wrong and if that goes wrong and if that goes wrong, and then all of a sudden it's just are you a playoff team? And we saw it last year, X, Y, 10 things went wrong for the Devils and they weren't a playoff team. Now, is that going to happen again? My guess is probably not, but I feel like for that reason alone, I would probably take the Rangers to win the Metro.
And I'm not, and one of the third team we talked about as being a realistic team on that, the Total Hockey Now. Check that out over on YouTube or Twitter at Total Hockey Now. Is the Hurricanes, I feel like, are getting overlooked a little bit. They're for sure a playoff team, but I just think if everything goes the way it's supposed to, the Rangers and Devils will be jockeying. But the Hurricanes, right there, is I think you can pretty much lock them in as the third place team in the division. Let's see here.
They'll be in that top three.
They'll be in that top three for sure. And maybe the Islanders finish fourth. Speaking of the Islanders, let's start with a Steve Junker card. That's just a terrible name to have, Steve Junker.
I would hope with a name like Junker that he played a real junk style of team. Is Junker really a way to describe a heavy you're gonna muck it up, you're gonna play tough against the wall sort of game? Because I would hope that's the sort of game you're gonna have if you're a name like Junker.
Yeah, I would almost. Yeah, it's almost false advertising if you don't play that way. And Andy McCarthy doesn't have to play that way. He's got a nice normal, name. Andy McCarthy could be your accountant, could be a local firefighter, whatever. But Steve Junker, you got to play a certain way in the corners. Let's see here. Not a great pack to start. We've got Vlastimil Krupa, pictured there with the San Jose Sharks. I recently picked up a Sharks flex plan. I'm going to 4 games this season. I'm excited.
Oh, nice. Which games are you going to?
So obviously the Ranger game in March.
Did they let you pick or
what?
Did they let you pick?
Yeah,
the games,
so that was the flex plan that. So I called instead of doing it online because for one game I needed 3 and then the rest I needed 2 or 1. And I know you can't really do like that online. Ticket Rep was great. So yeah, I'm going to the Rangers game at the end of March. The Devils Saturday matinee game in January. That's also beach cooler day, so that sweetens the pot a little bit. I have this thing about seeing franchises in their first season. So Utah only makes 1 trip to San Jose. I'll be seeing them in December. And then the first game I'm going to on Black Friday, they have an afternoon game against the Kraken. So my wife and my daughter's excited to go. So if she wants to go, she'll come to that Devils game with me in January because that's also an afternoon game. So excited to go this year.
Very nice. I did make an investment yesterday in regards to the Devils. I bought just because I don't know how much longer they're going to be available on the website with the way the contract ran with them. I decided to get a black Nico Hischier jersey.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're looking to have a jersey of every look from the team, you got to act before they go out. So that was smart.
Yeah, so I jumped on that one yesterday. My bank account is not thanking me this morning for doing it because that's $190 I'm not going to get back, but it'll look good when I wear it to go play poker or whatever. It's not
a purchase you're going to regret, that's for sure. And hopefully you should get some long-term use out of that Hischier jersey for sure. We got Darren Medeli. I don't know who that was. He's a bit, Senators goalie. Roman Hamrlik, former top, I believe top overall pick there with the Lightning. We got Trent Klatt pictured with the Dallas Stars. That was the first year they were in Dallas. Alexei Zhitnik, who had a good career with a few different teams there, defenseman, pictured with the Kings in their Stanley Cup season. And now we actually get to some decent players here. We got Kevin Stevens pictured here with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Newly inducted into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. So congrats to Kevin Stevens.
Definitely a U.S. Hockey Hall of Famer, without a doubt. Not necessarily a Hockey Hall of Famer, but absolutely a U.S. Hockey Hall of Famer. You want to talk about guys that were tough to play against and that did the things that Steve Junker brings to the table? Kevin Stevens did that, and he put the puck in the net. Let's see here. We got back-to-back Nordiques, two of the better ones, Owen Nolan, and then Matt Sundin before he went to Toronto.
Yeah, this pretty good pack there.
Two more cards to go here. We got a Steve Leach from the Bruins and one of our favorites, a guy that played on both of our teams, Mr. Jaromir Jagr. That's a good Jagr card there.
That is a good Jagr card. Jagr is just a living legend. I mean, we've done nothing but sing his praises on this show, and we will do nothing but continue to sing his praises moving forward.
Jaromir, come rip a pack with us. I know you're a busy man. Maybe while you're lifting weights, you can maybe do a pack in between sets. I don't know, but we'd love to have you on.
I'll send an email to his to the Czech team he owns and see if we can make that happen.
Thank you. That's guest booking right there. Well, we appreciate that. So there you go. That's the 93-94 Donruss pack. It is indeed time for show me your best pull. I've got a few candidates. I'll get mine up on the screen here first. So I've got that Mason Wynn rookie. I've got that Francisco Lindor New Age Performers. And I've got the Clayton Kershaw, like little hologram gold parallel there. Certainly enjoy that. Those would be my three for the day. And I'll shout out the Jagr base card. It's a base card, but it's still Jagr.
Yeah, I don't really have a good nominee, so you're definitely going to win this week. I'm going to pick one out of those three cards, though.
Okay.
Out of those three, I would pick Lindor. However, part of me wants to pick the Austin Wells card as well.
That's a good one too.
I would certainly say they would all qualify.
Nonetheless, I've got some penny sleeving to do once we wrap things up on this edition of RipNRiff here on the RipNRiff YouTube channel. Penny sleeving, top loader, got to do it. Just got some boxes in the mail so I can start really reorganizing my collection. I will document that as well, maybe. We'll see. But it is time here to get to the starting lineup figure 5. Where Jared has 5 questions to figure out the starting lineup figure that I have pre-selected, and if he gets it, figures out who it is, I get to unbox it, display it. They go to the studio audience. It's all a thing. If he doesn't, it stays in the box, and we do it again next week. So, with that in mind, and with that all that information, and it being a hockey player today, first question. I do not hear you.
You don't hear me? Oh, well, that would be a concern.
Now I hear you. For whatever reason, that one statement I did not hear.
Oh, well, I kind of muttered it under my breath, so kind of is what it is there. Trying to figure out what angle you might have coming into this beforehand.
There's really no angle here.
Okay. All
No
right.
angle today.
I certainly believe you. Did this player play for your favorite hockey team, the New York Rangers?
No, he did not.
Okay. Is this player in the Hockey Hall of Fame?
He sure is.
Oh, he sure is. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a Hall of Famer.
Don't think too hard about this one. Is this player a forward?
He is indeed a forward.
All right. He is very much a forward. Is this player a Stanley Cup champion?
He is a 2-time Stanley Cup champion.
Two-time.
One question to go.
All right, let me think of teams that won multiple cups.
And I didn't overshare and give you a free hint this time, so
That's fine.
Myself.
Did this player play for the Pittsburgh Penguins?
He did play for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that is your final question there, so you've now been led to the water. Will you be able to drink is the question.
Is it Mario Lemieux?
It sure is. Good job.
I was sort of thought we were kind of going down that path. with like 2 questions left, and then obviously the Pittsburgh one clinched it.
There you go. Because you think of 2-time champions from that era. There's not a ton, but they got the back-to-back against the Blackhawks and North Stars before they moved. So there you go. Mario Lemieux from the first year of hockey starting lineups. They had a few years before. They started a couple of years after the rest of them because it was baseball, football, basketball, and then hockey came a little later.
Yeah, and the Penguins are going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting that, you know, we bring up Mario. You bring up Mario, you almost have to bring up Sidney Crosby, and he's entering the final year of his deal in Pittsburgh. He's said that they're kind of close on a deal during the NHL's PA's event in Vegas yesterday. So I'll be very curious to see if he actually re-ups there and finishes his career in Pittsburgh. It would feel weird if he played somewhere else, but also if he signs again in Pittsburgh, I don't think he's going to win another championship, and I think that matters to him. So kind of curious to see what you thought on that one.
I think for Sidney Crosby, it's all a matter of what's more important to you. Playing for that one team your whole career, staying in Pittsburgh and being that like city icon, which he is regardless of whether he goes and plays somewhere else or not. But there is something to be said about players who spend their entire career with one team. Or if he's really got that itch that he's like, I got to get one more cup before I'm done. I just need to lift it one more time. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's lifted it, 4 times? He's been there, another time. So
I think 3. I think he's won 3.
Nashville. Oh, that's right. 3 times because he went back-to-back against Detroit, but only won one of them.
But they only won the one. Detroit won the first one.
And then he got the one against San Jose and the one against Nashville. So, yeah, He's got 3 cups. The only, here's a team that doesn't have a ton of cap space, but the only player I could see him leaving to go play with is his buddy Nate McKinnon in Colorado. Because
I don't know how they would make the math work on that one, but
I don't know.
I agree with you. I agree with you because they have a close relationship. But I don't know how they would ever make that work.
I don't know how they make it work, but it would absolutely check the box of, hey, you're going to a team that's got a real chance to win a Stanley Cup. But other than that, I think Sid wants to just stay in Pittsburgh, and they maybe they get the playoffs this year as a wild card team. Maybe I was a year early on thinking they'd actually put it together with that mix of old guys. But yeah, I think if I'm Crosby, I'd probably stay. But I mean, if he's got that itch that he needs to get one more, then we'll see where he goes. But we'll see. And then let's bring up the itch.
He should look into an ointment. They make creams for that.
Yeah, and it's make an appointment with your dermatologist. I know it's not easy to get in, but if you call now, you'll get seen, maybe in a week or so. So there we see the cards on the screen there. We got 2. We got the superstar scorer, Mario Lemieux, and then just the regular old Mario Lemieux card. Not looking too happy on that one on the right. And again, this is before starting lineups jumped on to like whatever card manufacturer that was their partner for that year and just reused their cards. And then there's Mario wearing the old mid-90s Penguins look there, which I like. Kind of looks like him a tiny bit, but not really. And then on the back, you got the Lemieux 66 there. So definitely a good one here to add to the collection. The first Mario Lemieux I'm adding. So
there you go. Happy I was able to make that one happen for you.
Thank you. I feel like he needs to be out and about sometimes. Now, he's going to be joining that starting lineup studio audience. Now, who do you think is in it this week? Well, last week, we got Joe Namath out of the box for a college one. I figured we have not really given college football any love, so it's time to break out some of the college football starting lineups. We got Charles Woodson from 1998, Glenn Davis from the 98 edition, Curtis Martin there from the 1999 edition, Joe Namath, who we got out of the box last week, and then up in the front, Oklahoma State, Barry Sanders, 1997 there. So Mario is going to be a part of the starting lineup studio audience next week, and we'll see who else is going to be a part of it. You talk about runs of like strong players. Oklahoma State had Thurman Thomas and then Barry Sanders in college. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's almost like the Packers going from Favre to Rodgers to Jordan Love.
And also Jordan.
By the way, get well soon, Jordan Love. Rough. That was a rough looking knee injury. Hopefully, it's just an MCL. He's just out a couple weeks.
And I think that's what they said is it's looking like, it might be out a month or so, but it's not worst case scenario where he's done for the year. And, I heard Ryan Tannehill's name being bandied about as somebody they needed to go and sign and all that. So we'll see how that.
Yes.
The NFC North might be the most intriguing division to watch this year. I know it's 1 week with the Vikings, but I mean, they did what they had to do against the bad team. We know the Bears, the expectations there, Lions defending champs, Packers expectations. So that's going to be a fun one to watch this year.
I will say game one of the Caleb Williams experience, not impressed. Very much not impressed with what I saw from Caleb Williams. Now, it's just one game, but like I don't think the Titans defense is really all that great. So
The Bears defense won that game for them.
Exactly. Their defense won the game for them. Obviously, way too early to panic on Caleb Williams, but also, like, I know Bears fans really want Caleb Williams to be the guy, and I understand it because you've never had a quarterback, but
Patience.
Pump the brakes a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like you want a good quarterback for a really long time, right? You don't want it just for like one season, maybe two. You want this guy to be the Bears' best quarterback for the next 10, 12 years. That's, pump the brakes, like you said. But that does it for this edition of Rip and Riff. And of course, rate, review, subscribe, YouTube, X/Twitter, Facebook. We talked about all about thejersey.com before, where Jared's Devils coverage can be found. Seasons, preseason's right around the corner here, folks, and the NHL regular season less than a month away. Also, Total Hockey Now. We have a fresh new episode out as of today, so go check that out. We talk about the top 10 fantasy left wings, and also, of course, another mock draft as we get through the summer. And Jared always keeping it busy there with at Jared Moore Poker on YouTube, so make sure you check that out.
Yeah, please make sure you watch and leave a comment, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff. It certainly helps the channel out.
We appreciate it. But for this edition of Rip and Riff, we'll be back with you next Wednesday, September 18th, with an all-new edition there. We don't know what packs we're pulling yet. We'll let you know when we start. But we're at Mr. Jared. Huh?
Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, I usually think ahead. I haven't thought ahead for this one, but we'll see. But for at Mr. Jared Moore, I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. Be back with you with an all-new episode next Wednesday of Rip and Riff here on the Rip and Riff YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody.